Hey guys, today we've got James, who is a pro CrossFitter and recently placed 12th at the Oceania CrossFit semi-finals here in Australia. He's now just unofficially placed for the elite teams at Wodapalooza and looking to fly over to America soon. But as he's ramped up his training, he's injured his shoulder. We've just done an assessment and we've found that he's actually developed a little bit of a biceps tendinitis and getting pain in the front of the shoulder, usually following a big training session. And I want to sort of show you guys what I've sort of found with James that sort of led to that injury. So the first thing that we looked at here was his impingement position of his shoulder. And as we get here, it gets quite restricted and it's a little bit uncomfortable for James versus the other side. When I do this shoulder, it sort of floats up right to his ear quite comfortably. And that tells me a lot of his internal rotator muscles of the shoulder, his teres major, subscap, lats, and pecs, they've all become quite overworked and it's pulling that shoulder into the wrong position. With that, what happens is it places more stress on certain muscles, one being the long head of the biceps, which we can test in this position here, holding nice and strong, James. And he doesn't like that. So that's reproducing some of his pain. Sorry, man. So what do we need to do to fix this injury for James? We're going to obviously treat the biceps tendon, but then also working into all those internal rotator cuff muscles, muscles, as well as part of the rotator cuff, because they become really stressed as that shoulder's internally rotated. So to begin with, let's hit the biceps to start with. So for these muscles, I really find active release technique to be very, very beneficial at sort of changing the tone of these really, really quickly. And so we take that muscle from a shortened position to a lengthened position all the way back through there. Can be a little bit uncomfortable. Yes, But being a CrossFitter, I'm sure James is used to pushing through pain. So I'll usually see biceps tendinitis, sort of impingement type injuries in CrossFit, especially develop with a lot of sort of kipping movement. There's a lot of sort of like a pulling down sort of motion, which really loads all of the lats mainly, and that'll pull that shoulder forward and sort of compromise it. So it's really important, to do mobility work and that sort of thing as we sort of, increase training volume and stuff like that, especially if we've got a competition or something like that that we're working towards. So the next muscle I'm now working on is James's anterior delt, which he was getting a lot of pain through, especially in the bottom. So when he caught ring muscle ups and the shoulders sort of really back in this position and translating the humeral head forward, he'd really notice it through their anterior delt biceps tendon. Good. A couple more passes on that one. Good. So one of the big factors that sort of goes wrong when you develop an impingement in the shoulder, having that shoulder sort of roll forward a little bit, some of the external rotators, part of the rotator cuff, they actually have to work harder. So for James, we're going to work on the supraspinatus, which sort of runs across here, as well as another one, the Teres Minor. First of all, let's hit that supraspinatus. For this motion, James, I'm going to get you to go from here. Yep. Take that hand behind the back and drag it across with the other hand, okay? Well, let's go for it. Nice. Coming back up. Yep. Perfect. So this muscle here, for those of you who have had impingement injuries before, this sort of catches or create pain when you hold your head above the shoulder. People often sort of say, like when they're doing their hair or hanging up the washing, that'll be a big one that creates that pain, along with the bursa, which lays just next to it. Great. All right. Next muscle, Teres Minor. So that runs from the back of the humerus here down along the sort of edge of the scapula. So James, for this motion, we're going to start tucked in, reach up, thumb down. Okay. So hook onto that muscle and off you go. And that is rough in there. Yep. You good? That's not too firm? You can deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yep. Good. Yep. So what can develop if this injury was left untreated? Obviously, he's got the biceps tendon pain, but the next sort of things you'll see is a flow-on effect of supraspinatus tendinopathy from having to overcompensate its stability work on the shoulder, and also like subacromial bursitis, which is a really common sort of postural issue, you might get if you're working at the desk for too long. So this treatment that we're doing today is really effective for those injuries too. Great. Now, since that was so junked up through the back of the shoulder, because I'd say that's been pretty angry for a while, I'm also going to work on the back of the shoulder capsule. James, to hit that, we go here, across the body, thumb down, you tuck your elbow in like that, okay? All right. And if you want to come around this side, let's go for it. Great. So it's at this point here too that people can develop a radial nerve entrapment. And it's really common when the shoulder sort of is tight like this, that the pressure on the radial nerve, which runs from here down through the triceps and then through this area here, can give tennis elbow symptoms as well. Let's do 2 more. Great. Last one there. Nice. All right, so next step, I'm going to work through some of those shoulder internal rotators that we talked about that sort of set his shoulder off into the wrong position, putting him at risk to the injury that he's now developed. So James, laying down on your side for me, still facing that way, and we're going to hit the lats. You're going to love this one. All right. Oh, damn. So I find for CrossFitters especially, changing the tone of the lats has a huge advantage in sort of your catch position of your snatches. It allows you to get your head through and under the bar and just sort of lock those elbows in place, creating a lot more stability because you're just stacked a lot nicer. So often what will happen is people will leave here and just go, yep, hit a new PB, or just feeling strong, that sort of thing. One more there. Awesome. Okay, lay on your back now. Next one we're going to hit, Pec Major. All right, there we go. And this one's not too bad, to be fair. You can see that his arm is falling down, sort of hand lower than the shoulder. And that to me indicates a good range of motion through here. So CrossFit doesn't place as big a demands through the chest as, say, bodybuilding. Bodybuilders will often be really internally rotated, more so from their pecs. But I will just check. So we've just worked on the Pec Major. I'm going to check his Pec Minor as well. So the Pec Minor, instead of sort of bringing the arm in, will protract the shoulder forward. So we take into that shortened position and then dropping it back. That is definitely a little bit tighter. Good. Damn, you still with me? Next muscle, and I think this is going to be one of the most important muscles in this, because not only is it an internal rotator of the shoulder, it's also a huge player in stabilization, and that's the subscapularis. Now this muscle is actually on the underside of the shoulder blade, comes through and attaches to the front of his shoulder, which is, we know, where he was feeling a lot of the pain, and in that position where he's catching a ring muscle up, takes a lot of stress. So for this, I sort of get in under that shoulder blade, sink in past the lats, and then we take it through that range. And I think James has needed this for a little while, feeling that that's really rough. Let's go 2 more. Oh. Last one there. Okay, so now that we've loosened up the rotator cuff and all those muscles, putting the shoulder into an impinged position, the next step is some dry needling. We're going to do 2 sort of areas to dry needle. First one is where he's getting the symptoms. We're going to hit the anterior delts and some of the long head of the biceps through here. All right, just relaxing that there. Good, that's the first one. So there we go. One more through the delt. A little twitch, but I think we got it all with that last one. And then we'll get one into the biceps as well. Good. So we're going to let that sit just for a few minutes. Okay, so they've sat in there for a few minutes now. We'll pop those out. Just a little bleeder there. Clean that up. And James, we'll get you to flip over, face down on the table now. So in this position, got some armrest there. It's
both in the armrest.
Yep. It's a lot easier to hit the rotator cuff. So we're going to start with the supraspinatus. Next we hit that Teres Minor. And into the infraspinatus, another part of the rotator cuff. And then we'll move into the back of the delt. There it goes. And then one more for that trap as well. Great. Again, we'll let that just sit for a few minutes. Now that they've been sitting there for a little bit, we're going to take these out too. And the next step, sort of change the position of the shoulder, will be to adjust James's mid-back, because when those shoulders are internally rotated, it's going to put this more in a kyphotic position. So we want to crack this next. The cracking will sort of help mobilize those joints and sort of get James standing a little bit more upright and allow the shoulders to sit back, and his retracting muscles of the shoulder blade will be a bit more active as well. So James, big breath in, all the way out. Good, perfect. All right, James, let's get you up now, and we're going to retest those muscles. So the first one, we're going to check that mobility of the shoulder, make sure that's cleared out. That's good. That worked really well. Okay, next step, holding there, nice and strong. Don't let me push down. And that I'm pushing firmer than what I was doing there too. So it's definitely taken the pressure off those symptomatic muscles. The next step for James will be probably one more treatment for this. It's cleared out a lot. We've had really good results, but also to see how he goes. If this starts to come back again, we know there's some sort of movement pattern issue, and we'll sort of look at his scapular control, how those muscles are functioning. My gut tells me he's been doing this a long time. His body moves pretty well. He's very self-aware. This will just fall back into place. It just needed a tune-up, and he's good to go to hit Wodapalooza. All right. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the videos, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. That's going to help me get more content out to you, and I'll see you next time.